There is a phenomenon that's happening with white couples, and it's been going on for quite some time. I remember, when I was younger, I used to watch it on Forensic Files, and that phenomenon is called the Alpine divorce. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist. And essentially, the gist of an Alpine divorce is, where a couple, husband and wife, usually they take a hike, and the wife is usually left behind on a rigorous hike. She's injured or she's beaten on that hike. Sometimes, in certain situations, which I've seen over the years on television and whatnot, thrown down a ravine or bludgeoned and things like that. And so this is something, and while it may happen in other other couples of other cultures and ethnicities, primarily I've seen it happen in the white community. And I wanted to have a conversation about it, because it's something that I've seen over the years on television and whatnot, and it's a serious phenomenon. It's where, essentially, usually, how it happens is the husband decides he wants to, husband or baby daddy, decides that he wants to nix his wife out of the picture. I'm done with her. And instead of divorcing her through court and other means, I'm going to get rid of her the old-fashioned way. Therefore, it looks like an accident, and I don't have to pay for anything. And there's other variations of this outside of the hike, going up the mountain and things like that. I think other variations of this have been like, horse incidences where someone is injured by the horse and left out in the wilderness. So wilderness and things like that. So here's, here's some takeaways. I was having a conversation with my hairstylist last week, and he's like, well, why are these women, going on these nature walks and hikes with their husbands if things aren't great in their marriage? And I think there's a phenomenon that happens that plays into this whole switcheroo. And at least from what I've seen, it's meant to be our marriage, our relationship has been on the rocks for some time, and now I want to do something romantic, or I want to plan some bonding time, and that kind of helps to get us back on track despite all the problems that we've had, and therein lies your problem. So this is a what I call a red flag. If your marriage has been on shaky ground, please do not go hiking. Please do not go out in the wilderness. You stay right here where the footing is solid. This is a phenomenon that happens with many mental health disorders or many, life illnesses and things like that, which is where, like, if I have been stormy, if I have been miserable, and I've had this period of time where I'm not doing too good. I'm not being a good person. And all of a sudden, I am now a beacon of light. And I am now all sunshines and smiles. And now I want to work things out and get things back on track. That's usually not a good sign. And it's something that happens when people are extremely sick, when people are suicidal, right before people die. I'll give an example. Like, for example, when people have been in the hospital and they've been dying for a long time, and their health has declined, they may have a day or two, maybe even a week, where suddenly there just seems to be this radical improvement, right, in their health. And all of a sudden they appear to be better than they have been in a long time. And then after that radical improvement, then they die. So that's an example. Same thing happens with people who are suicidal. They've been depressed and they've been stressed out, and like they feel like they're ready to end things right before the day before they do it. They're suddenly in a good mood. They're chatty, they're talkative, because they're happy that they have accepted their fate and what they're going to do. And so their demeanor changes because now I have control. I feel better about what I'm going to do. You don't know it. And so you think, oh, their mental health has suddenly taken a change for the better, and we're now out of the slump. The same thing can be applied to this Alpine divorce. If your husband has been stormy, he's been controlling, he's been mean, he's been stonewalling, and then all of a sudden he wants to be Mr. Charmer, Mr. Friendly. Those are things that you want to pay attention to because something is most likely afoot. People may also actually, try things or scope things out before they attempt to harm you in ways. So they may be planning, they may be strategizing, they may be getting you used to the idea that they are now charming and happy and things are the way they were during the beginning, during the honeymoon phase. And so that could be, just to throw you off kilter and get you to have a sense of trust in them that shouldn't be there. And so you always want to be prepared. If you've ever been afraid for your safety, if you've been through quite a bit of turmoil and things aren't good, be careful, about how you choose to spend your time and turn things around with your lover, your husband, your partner. And just because they have a sudden epiphany and they want to get things back on track, that does not necessarily mean that what they're thinking behind those eyes is actually what they're telling you. And again, there's several variations of this Alpine divorce on Forensic Files, which is a classic show. Definitely check it out if you haven't watched it in many years. But this kind of stuff, it seems to be happening, and it's making major news now, court TV and things like that have coverage. But always trust your instinct. Be careful because if you've been sleeping with the enemy for quite some time, it's highly unlikely that person is going to then want to be your lover and your friend again. So heed to that, heed to warning, and stay where your footing is sure and safe. Stay where you're constantly surrounded by people, and make sure that you are always safe. And if the D word, meaning divorce, has come up and that's drawn out an all-out war, just be careful with that because people take that seriously. And we're living in a time where people feel like, I don't want to have to pay her anything. I don't want to have to pay for the kids. I don't want to have to be inconvenienced. I built this life and I want to keep everything just as I've made it. She's not entitled to a damn thing, and she's never going to get it. So that mentality or something along those lines, you want to be careful with that. I hope that helps. Thanks so much.